Bluetooth is ubiquitous these days, and it's a standard that is made possible for a variety of products out there. We have two experts here that are going to be talking to us about where Bluetooth is and where it's headed. So why don't we start out with where is Bluetooth now in terms of a standard?
In terms of a standard?
Yeah.
Well, when we think about Bluetooth, we think of it as continually evolving, right? And that's one of the things that we are proud of, right? Even though we've been around for 25 plus years now, we are constantly got the pedal down, and we're pushing the envelope on what's possible in wireless connectivity. And so we have had a couple of exciting announcements this year, exciting releases this year, and seen a lot of progress in market that we're very happy to talk to you about today. I think it's an exciting time for Bluetooth. We're expanding into not only in our existing consumer roots, but we're expanding into commercial, industrial environments like never before, and there's a lot of possibility out there for developers.
Could we talk a little bit about some of the standards that have been recently announced?
Certainly, one of the features that we released at the beginning, toward the end of 2024 was Bluetooth Channel Sounding. Bluetooth Channel Sounding enables secure fine ranging between Bluetooth connected devices, which then can enable true distance awareness between any Bluetooth device that has a connection or paired relationship. And so this feature adds security in addition to the fine ranging aspect. And that is super important for some of the lead use cases like automotive digital key. It's important for Find My type applications as well. Here we have the Bluetooth Channel Sounding demo running on two Samsung prototype smartphones. As you can see, the ranging procedure is running between the two devices. If I move the device, you'll see that the measurements change, fairly responsive. We're getting about 4 measurements per second. And another interesting thing here about this demo is that we're also running a Bluetooth classic audio stream to the speaker, which you can now hear. I'll turn it up a notch. And so what this shows off is that you can run Bluetooth Channel Sounding concurrently with another Bluetooth application or use case, and it works seamlessly, as you can see.
For those who might not be familiar, Auracast is a new Bluetooth capability that allows a transmitter to broadcast to an unlimited number of receivers. So we're breaking that pairing paradigm, that one-to-one relationship. And there's all sorts of possibilities that open up with that. The ability to share your personal audio in very new and exciting ways. The ability to unmute televisions in public spaces, so what was once silent can now share audio experience along with the visual experience. And then, of course, there's all sorts of possibilities about public locations allowing its visitors to hear their best when they visit the venue. And that is critical for all visitors, and particularly people with hearing loss or hearing aid users. And so we have seen quite a bit of adoption, both within products and venues and locations starting to test out deployments, and bringing Auracast to life, which is really, really exciting. So when you think about the Auracast ecosystem, it's going to require, of course, receivers. We're seeing those coming to market. Sennheiser earbuds, JBL speakers, both speakers and earbuds have come to market. Others are getting into the game as well. On the hearing aid side, many of the major manufacturers are deploying. We're seeing GN Resound coming out with not only receivers, but also another part of the ecosystem, which are the transmitters, right? And those are coming to market too. A notable case, our member companies, Amtronic and Listen, have made the Ori system available. Very, very exciting when these public transmitters start becoming available, because that's when locations can get into the mix, right? And that is the most recent news. So I don't know if you're familiar, but there was actually a test deployment at the Lincoln Center, where a transmitter just the size, smaller than a smartphone, was able to provide an Auracast broadcast to visitors throughout the auditorium. Very, very exciting to see these real world tests and applications coming to life. And it really is signaling that right around the corner, we're going to start seeing Auracast locations make major announcements about providing the service permanently.
Excellent. Now, from a developer's perspective, using something like Auracast, we're talking about two pieces, the transmitter and the receiver. What is the developers going to require? Is it something that's going to be part of the standard stack, for example? And on the transmitter side, is that something that's either licensed space or is it unlicensed?
Do you want to take this?
So it would definitely be unlicensed. The transmission is occurring over Bluetooth and transmitted over 2.4 gigahertz, just like all Bluetooth wireless communication occurs. And then, on the receiver side, as long as the receiver has a Bluetooth chipset, Bluetooth LE chipset to be clear, and supports the PPP profile, they can then be basically qualified as an Auracast compliant receiving device. That's kind of the great thing about Bluetooth is Bluetooth LE chipset, support the right profile, and then you have interoperable communication between the devices. In this instance, broadcast, from the transmitter to the receiver. So that's how I kind of summarize that, succinctly.
Yeah. For developers looking to implement Auracast, it's really LE Audio is a suite of 20 plus specifications, but there's this one specification in particular. Damon mentioned PBP, or the public broadcast profile, and that is the secret. That defines both transmitters, receivers, and another device that we haven't really talked about so far, and that's assistance. So you can imagine basically the remote controls for these Auracast broadcasts. So whether it be a phone, whether it be a smartwatch, other ways of accessing and receiving these broadcasts. So the public broadcast profile is the key there.
Okay. Now, when Bluetooth started out, it was designed primarily for essentially local communications, usually on a person, for example.
Yeah.
But this transmitter obviously is designed for a much longer range. What are we talking about in terms of placement of transmitters, how far they can go, what the coverage is going to be, for example?
So I would describe it as looking a lot like if you think about like a Wi-Fi access point deployment within say a museum. Or a public space or whatever, it would mirror that to some extent. It's 2.4, early Wi-Fi access point deployments were 2.4 gigahertz only, right?
Right.
10, 15 years ago, might be showing my age a little bit there, but so the deployment spacing will be will approximate that. Obviously you need to survey and test the RF environment to ensure that you're getting full coverage, but that's about how you could think about it.
This is the way that I've come to think of it, that I found very, very helpful. This is how someone described it to me. So you're right that the traditional classic Bluetooth audio relationship was designed specifically for a very one-to-one small area, right? Personal experience. These public transmitters will benefit from a couple of key things that can help them increase their range. So one of them is that it is a broadcast. It's a one-way transmission as opposed to a paired relationship. The other thing is that these public transmitters are going to be able to crank up their transmit power, right? Phones, which is a very common, audio source now for Bluetooth. They obviously have to keep their transmit power down, to protect against, use of battery and things like that. These public transmitters are going to be mainline. They're going to be able to crank that transmit power up. And so when you think about ranges, traditional classic Bluetooth, you talk about like 10 meters or so is like what people usually think of. These public Auracast transmitters are going to be able to achieve around 10x that, so about 100 meters or so. And we've seen it, which is really, really exciting. So, a common theater or cinema, we're anticipating that one transmitter could really cover the entire area.
Now, going back to the previous announcement, which was talking about range and
Channel sounding. Yes.
Channel sounding. Can these things be combined, for example, so that you know where the transmitters are and whether or not they're
Absolutely
transmitting from a particular type of...
Maybe I got a little too excited to answer that one, but absolutely. This demonstration that we have here is not Auracast and channel sounding, but there is an implementation of that, a separate one that's not here. This demonstration that we have can demonstrate classic audio streaming from one device to a speaker, and while simultaneously running a channel sounding procedure between the two phone devices. So absolutely, the channel sounding procedure can be interleaved into a Bluetooth connection seamlessly. There's plenty of airtime. You configure the amount of measurements you want per second, depending on your airtime, budget, so to speak,
Right.
depending on what the environment looks like there. So yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. So, where are we going to be headed next year? I mean, what you've announced thus far is really major at this point. It's probably going to take a good while to get it out to everybody. But I'm sure you get some new ideas of where things are headed.
Yeah, so the interesting thing, and Dave kind of touched on it to kind of expand on based on what you just said, is we have this technology roadmap with some of our key lead features here that are listed. Channel sounding released end of last year, 2024. This year, there's going to be an enhancement to HID devices to reduce latency. These HID enhancements are going to come in phases, so it's not just
human interface device.
Yes. So keyboards, mice, gaming controllers. These ones for this year are primarily focused on gaming devices. So mice, keyboards, controllers for gaming, and the working group is looking to reduce latency down to around 1 millisecond, and so that's going to make it close to being similar to like proprietary wireless type implementations, closer towards wired communication. So you can get a pretty good gaming experience. And then, following on after that, in subsequent years, there will be further enhancements to, reduce latency even further. And then you see also coming after that, then there's the high data throughput project. This is a project where we're working to increase throughput up to approximately 8 megabits per second in the 2.4 gigahertz band. And so that's going to enhance some of the LE audio features that you see actually right there. Not all of these features that you see that are a part of the LE audio roadmap require HTT, but a few of these high-res and lossless, where you have multi-channel surround, those features will definitely benefit from high data throughput. And then obviously also data transfer synchronization will happen faster. And the interesting thing there is that, because you get on and off faster, that may also free up airtime where in devices like, say, a Wi-Fi device where you have co-located radio, you get the Bluetooth on and off more quickly, and Wi-Fi actually benefits from, there not being as much Bluetooth communication on it for as long in that connection interval.